we're going to make a double chocolate funnel cake. Now this particular funnel cake recipe is different than two other videos that I have on funnel cakes because it's made with Bisquick. It's actually a dry mix that you can make waffles and pancakes and coffee cakes and things like that. If you don't have Bisquick and you want to give this recipe a try, I do have another video that you can make your homemade Bisquick rather than buying the box. So let's get started. First, start off with 2 cups of your dry mix, and you're going to put 1 1/4 cups of milk in that. Now if you find that you want the funnel cakes to be a little thicker, use a little bit less milk. If you want them a little bit thinner, I always keep an extra little 1/4 cup of milk on the side just in case I feel it's still a little too thick at 1 1/4 cups of milk. I'm also going to put in 2 tablespoons of unsweetened baking cocoa. You're going to need a frying pan with solid shortening that's melted, or your preference of the type of frying oil that you want to use. This particular mix will have a little bit of lumps in it, so don't worry about too many of the lumps. You really just want to get it as smooth as possible so it's easier to pour. Now you're also going to be putting in 2 eggs. I do beat them ahead of time, and they've been at room temperature. And then mix your eggs in this. Now your grease or your oil, whatever you prefer to call it, it's going to have to be anywhere from 350 to 360 degrees. So you can use, of course, your thermometer to test that, or you can just put a little bit of batter in the hot oil or grease and see if it's hot enough. So either way, whatever you want to do with that. Now another thing that we're going to do is we're going to use your brand, whatever choice that you want, of at least 1 to 2 tablespoons of your chocolate syrup. And then just mix that in. Now if you don't have a pitcher to, I had just washed that, for your funnel cakes, you know, you can use anything that you have at home. You can actually buy a plastic like ketchup bottles or mustard bottles and cut the little tip off a little bit, and you can pour your mix out of that, or your batter I should say. So I think we're ready to pour it into my pitcher. I'm just going to pour it over the sink so that if any of it drips, it's not going to go all over. And I started to heat I use solid shortening, which I've melted, and I had it on low heat. I'm going to raise it right now. Now I'm using a shallow pan so that you can really see it easier for the video, but you probably want to use a different pan that won't be so shallow. But I thought this might be easier to see. You do need a tong, something to pick it up with, a spatula, a fork, whatever that you prefer. Also, if you don't have a ring, I actually have made them in a smaller pot, and you know, they'll come out great too without the ring. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of batter in the hot grease just to see how we're doing, and it's not hot enough. I can clearly see that it isn't, and I just want to pull that out of there. I'll lift that out with a spoon, a slotted spoon here. And again, you can test it that way. You do want it about, like I said, 350 or 360, because you want these to fry up nice and crisp and you don't want them to be real oily. You're going to need some type of tray or dish with paper towel to absorb them once you pull them out. And we are going to be drizzling with a chocolate syrup, whatever brand that you prefer. And then of course we're going to also sprinkle powdered sugar over them once that they're done as well. So we're going to try again to see how our oil is, or shortening. And it's cooking, but it's really not quite there. But I think we're going to go ahead. Now, if you're looking for a traditional funnel cake recipe, I have two other recipes on. I have your traditional vanilla recipe, and then I also have a German chocolate one. You might prefer those over the Bisquick, but I just wanted to do this recipe with the Bisquick because they do come out good. They really do taste good. Okay, so let's give it a go, and we're going to start pouring that in. And I just like to go into circles till I get to the center, and then just crisscross it. And then you want to give it a few moments so that it'll form and start cooking from the bottom. And then in a few minutes here, I'm going to pull the ring out, and then going to flip it over so that I can fry and cook the other side of it. Again, this recipe can be adjusted. If you want to try 1 cup of milk versus 1 1/4, or just have on standby a little extra milk as I did, just in case you think it's a little too thick and you want your funnel cake to be a little bit lighter, a little bit crispier, that type of thing. All right, and we'll remove the ring at this time and set that aside. And I'm just looking at the bottom yet, and it does need a little bit more on this side to fry. Now, if you want them to have to look more where they have more holes, just don't pour as much in. It's really up to you what you want this to look like when it comes out. Alright, and let's flip that over. Now these usually come out a very nice golden brown. I like them to be a little bit more dense rather than having big gaping holes in them, but everybody is different. That's what's nice about this recipe. You can make it however you want. And I'll just look underneath. It's just going to be, I think, just a few more seconds here to cook it all the way through. Now once they do come out and you put them on your paper towel to absorb the grease, let them just cool for a little bit, and then apply your chocolate and your powdered sugar. But you do like to serve them warm. Some people even prefer them when they're are hot when they come out. So there we have it. I'm just going to turn that down. And this is how it's going to turn out and look. And I'm going to just sprinkle some powdered sugar on it. Again, when it's as hot as this, the sugar will melt, but I want to move it along for the video. So put your powdered sugar on there, and then your favorite syrup. Just drizzle that as much as you want. And I'll quickly plate that to show you what it will look like once it's done. And there you have it. You have a homemade funnel cake. Really light, very crispy, made with Bisquick, just a dry mix. Give this recipe a try. I hope you like this one. If you do, leave a comment. I'd like to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.